welcome back to my channel. As always, get comfortable, suss out the vibe if you're new. I'm sure you're gonna like me and my audience by the time this video is finished, so you might as well go ahead and subscribe right now. We have videos for you every single Wednesday, and sometimes when the stars are shining and the stars align, I bring on like a guest expert, and today we have a financial advisor. For anyone who's been watching my channel for a while now, you know that I'm not necessarily a big fan of financial advisors, so this is going to be quite an interesting conversation with Adele. If you don't know Adele, you're probably not on Instagram, or at least in the Instagram personal finance essay space. She is very vocal in that space. That's why I'm really excited to be with her and talk about financial advisors, their relevancy, how you should navigate getting your own financial advisor, and what role they actually play. So I'm hoping that once you're done with this video, you'll understand what financial advisors do, how they can actually add value to your life, and how to actually approach them in a way that serves you at the end of the day. So Adele, would you mind introducing yourself to my community?
Thando, thank you so much for having me, especially the Queen of DIY Investing. It's such an honor to be on your platform today, and I really appreciate the opportunity and your time and your audience's time. I'm Adele Barnard. I'm a financial planner. I've been in the industry for 8 years, going on 9 years, where I've built up my own practice over the years with clients, which became like family and friends to me. And so basically what I do is I assist people or partner with them to handle their financial affairs and their financial planning. I love what I do, and I honestly believe that only a life lived for others is a life lived worthwhile.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. And it's so interesting to hear that from a financial advisor, like describing your clients as family. And I think that's like one of the reasons I was really excited to have you on this platform, because I think it is relatively hard to find financial advisors that connect with you at that level. And I think it's very important to be able to connect with your financial advisor to at least like a point where you feel comfortable telling them your hopes and your dreams, you know, because sometimes your dreams can be scary and you don't want to be telling them to people that will kind of tell you that they're not possible. So let's get this discussion started. I don't necessarily have the greatest history with financial advisors, I'll be completely honest. The first financial advisor that I ever saw was probably the last one that I ever consulted with up to this point. And that was quite traumatic experience, financially traumatic experience, in the sense that it didn't necessarily leave me confident or with the knowledge that I needed to actually move forward. So let's start off by at least talking about what financial advisors do before we get into who the good and bad financial advisors.
So, yes, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that you had a bad experience. I can assure you, you're not the only person. And I think that's why I'm trying to bring a refreshing experience to clients. Because I hear so often clients feel that way about advisors and brokers in general. And we're so intimidated, first of all, talking about money, and then you partner with an advisor. And you need to, first of all, you need to trust the person, and you definitely need to feel comfortable with them. I always say you're not married to the person, so if you don't like them or you haven't heard from them in the past year, get yourself a new advisor. But back to your question, so when an advisor makes sense, well, I can take it back and say I actually wish we were taught financial planning or financial tools in school already, because I'm sure a lot of us would have made different financial decisions. But I think the most important thing is when you start working, you get your first paycheck, to partner with a financial planner. And the answer can be two-sided. An individual like yourself that is very equipped with DIY investing and the tools, I'm all for it and go for it. I actually want to encourage the people to equip themselves more. But in some instances, we start working, we become specialists in our fields, and we don't necessarily keep up with financial jargon, terms, and financial knowledge. And I think that is why it's important that you've got an advisor. And an advisor can also assist you with a personalized financial plan to achieve your goals. Like you mentioned earlier, you need to be comfortable with a person and share your goals. Even though if it scares you, you need to be able to trust that person and tell them. They can assist you with investment strategies, so you don't have to go do the research and the likes. And yeah, I honestly believe there's absolutely massive value in having a planner or an advisor at your side.
Yeah, I think being able to just talk about money with someone and get a bit of a direction when you start out can be a massive advantage, because a lot of us kind of have to make mistakes first and then figure out that actually we've made mistakes and try to rectify those mistakes. So you already start off like the back foot, really, because you have to undo all of these things, when if you actually had a financial advisor at the very beginning, you could have like missed some of those mistakes, and like found better ways of managing your finances. So I like how you've described financial advisor is making sense at the very beginning of your career, especially for people out there that are trying to build careers, because as your career grows, so will your income, right? And what do financial advisors actually do, in the sense that if I was to go to a financial advisor today and say, please help me with my finances, what can they actually do for me?
So I just want to start off with, there's a big myth that we need to demystify, and is that people believe they need to have lots of money to get access to an advisor, and that we need to stop that point of view immediately, because anyone can have access to an advisor. So just get in touch with one as soon as possible, because they can assist you. So if your client starts working, and either you're employed by a company and you've got benefits at the company, you can sit with your advisor, you can work through that benefit statement so that you know what benefits you have. If you don't have all the benefits from your employer, your advisor can assist you with the benefits you need, whether it's an income protector or retirement annuity, or whatever the case may be, to plan for your retirement already, and assist you with a will. So there are so many aspects and components the advisor can assist you with. And even more so if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you definitely need a financial advisor to assist you, because you're your own boss and your greatest asset is your earning potential. And often people realize that only too late. So I think that is where a big value proposition from the advisor comes in, where they can give the expertise and guidance, which will add value over the long term. And I love what you mentioned, Thando, as well, is I think a lot of us would have made different decisions if we partnered with someone early in our lives and got sound financial advice.
Definitely. No, I think I 100% agree. In terms of like how they like look at your things, I think there's like different components that they can help you look at in your finances. So could you maybe break down those things to say, these are the specific areas within your finances that they'll help you with? Maybe there's like pillars or some foundational things that they are really, really important to have in your financial plan or strategy.
So just to elaborate on that, you've got risk planning, retirement planning, and investment planning. So your risk planning will typically look at, is your client married, or do they have a partner or financial dependent? So do they possibly need life cover, or do they have liabilities in the event of their death that needs to be settled? Part of the risk planning is also disability and income protection cover, dread disease cover. So to make sure your financial affairs are in order should you pass away, or in the event of the unforeseen happening to you. Furthermore, the next part of it is retirement planning. And obviously the landscape has changed so much with retirement planning. I mean, individuals who are living longer, we don't want to work forever, like new generations. We don't want to work until we're 60 or 55, including myself, because we just want to live life. And your advisor can still assist you, because if you want to retire earlier at 40 or whenever, you still need to do that calculation and know, this is what I need for me to be able to live my best life from an earlier retirement perspective. And then obviously you can also partner with your financial planner to assist you with investments. I think the biggest value add is the fact, so often we see clients, that they've got lots of money in the bank, but they don't realize their money is not keeping up with inflation. So there's very big value in partnering with someone that can give you sound advice, act in your best interest, to make your money grow for you with an investment strategy which is aligned with your investment needs and goals and objectives in turn at the end.
Yeah, sound advice. That's the key. This like sound advice, advice that is in your favor at the end of the day, right? But I love how you broke down like the different aspects that they can really dig into, like with the risk planning, as well as with investments and with insurance and things like that. Because I think for a lot of us, when we think about personal finances and building wealth, the biggest thing that kind of comes to mind is investing and putting your money to work. No one really not no one really thinks about it, but we hate thinking about the fact that we have to pay for things like insurance, because it's kind of a grudge purchase, like when I pay for medical aid, when you're not really using it, it just feels like just one of those things that's just eating away your paycheck, but you're really glad you have it when you need it, right? So I think a financial advisor will help kind of like reinforce the importance of things like that with like the risk planning as well, because all the things that you can easily overlook if you're just looking at your finances by yourself. And I want to like dig in a little bit on the part of giving sound advice, because like I said, like my first experience with a financial advisor wasn't the greatest, because I didn't feel like they actually listened to what I was saying in terms of why I was there, my goals, and what I really wanted to get out of the conversation. For them, it was more of driving very quickly towards the conversation of, oh, there's this product and that product that you can sign up for. Where do you sign? Like they really wanted to kind of like lock me down on a specific policy when I didn't necessarily understand what they were actually selling me. So I really want to talk about that, getting sound advice. What does getting sound advice from a financial advisor actually look like? How does a financial advisor give good sound advice? And by sound advice, of course, we're talking about whatever is best for the client.
Yes, definitely. What is in the client's best interest? And I think you immediately could pick up with your first experience with the advisor is it was very sales driven and product pushing, punting, or whatever the case might have been. And that's so unfortunate, because that is where we actually lose key individuals by either not going back. Luckily, in your instance, you've developed an entire channel, so we're so grateful that you reach a community and lots of people. But to reiterate and back to sound advice, so for me to make it practical, I'll partner with my client and I'll say, let's dive in deep and start chatting about your budget, because that's the heart of any financial plan. So as quickly your client can see, oh my goodness, I am literally like spending or wasting money here. We can review policies which the client has forgotten about, and you're paying for something you possibly don't need or needs to be reviewed at. So ultimately, for sound advice, I would say to act in your client's best interest, to look at the portfolio holistically. So not only, because that's also something else I see in the industry, is some advisors look at the client and look and say, oh, you need an RA, and they move on. So look at the client's portfolio holistically. Sit down with your client, invest your time with your client, get their goals. My clients know for a fact, I sit down with them in our first meeting and I get their goals from them as well. Do you want to purchase property in the future, or an investment property? Are the kids, do they have educational needs? What is my client's goals? Because I need to see how I can assist them and enable them to achieve those goals. And obviously, it's not, I always say financial planning is a bit like about dieting. It's not we start today and tomorrow we drop 10 kgs after drinking green juice and water. It is a plan. It does take time. So the client and the advisor takes two to tango. Must, meet one another in terms of time and requirements so they can partner for the long run. And I think that is what sound advice comes down to for me. That your client is comfortable and actually financially confident when engaging with their own finances and with the advisor.
Yeah, that is exactly what I think as well. I think that makes complete, like, trust your gut feeling, like, I know obviously you don't want to make like huge decisions just based on your gut feelings, but I think that can also be an indicator of whether something is going to work out in your favor or not. And keeping in touch, I think, is also very important, because when you sit with your financial advisor the first time, the conversation, yes, will be around your goals and everything, but your goals might change as life progresses, as your life circumstances also change. And I think that's also something that your financial advisor should be interested in terms of what does your lifestyle look like, what type of lifestyle do you want to live, because we are human beings and we want to live certain lifestyles that we enjoy, right? So I think your financial advisor should definitely know about that as well.
I'm glad you're bringing or raising that point, because also from a regulatory perspective, your advisor needs to reach out to you at least once a year. So I always tell my clients, whenever something changes in your financial portfolio, if it's prior to our review date, so whether it's a baby or a new car or whatever, please let me know. Luckily, with the various platforms, we keep in touch, so it's actually easier, because sometimes the clients do tend to forget. But in my practice, I see my clients annually so that I know when baby number 3 arrived or anything in the portfolio or new job. And something you mentioned when we started this interview as well, Thando, is if you change jobs or careers, or you move up the corporate ladder, or whatever the case might be, those are all factors and influences that makes changes in your portfolio at the end of the day. And I think that's when an advisor can be so crucial, because so often we see that, clients get an increase in salary or a new job, and then they start to change their cars and their homes, lifestyle inflation. And I think if you partner with someone like an advisor, possibly the advisor has an unpopular opinion, telling you to either keep the car, keep the home, but just having that additional voice to speak to a person to just play with, run your numbers with, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. I 100% agree. And even personally speaking, like my life is changing quite a bit right now. And I'm talking to like tax professionals, and I'm trying to get in touch with the financial advisors as well, because so many things are changing. And I think it is kind of beyond my knowledge at this point. Because I think once you cross over South Africa, it gets a little bit weird in terms of finances.
Yeah, I think always the concept of money is universal. So luckily you're a fantastic VRY investor. But the main thing is that I always teach my clients is just to spend less, than what you earn, so that we can preserve and invest those funds. I think that's the golden principle. But obviously things do change, and I've got so many clients that are still my clients, South Africans, that leave, either come back at some stage or they stay in the other countries.
No, definitely. Yeah, it does complicate things a little bit. So I will attest to the value of getting professionals into the space. And I love that fact that we talked about what good financial advice looks like, so that when people go to see a financial advisor, they can know what to expect. They're going to have kind of like a standard to hold them to, because I always like to describe like at least the first initial conversation that you have with a financial advisor is more of an interview, because that person is essentially going to be working for you to an extent, because they have to do a job that you've given them to the best of their abilities, right? When someone is looking for a financial advisor, outside of making sure that the financial advisor is interested in their goals and understands what their lifestyle looks like and things like that, what are some of the active things that they can do during that interview, for example, that will help them decide whether or not that person is right, in terms of how do they make sure that that person is actually legally allowed to give financial advice? Because a lot of us talk about money. I talk about money all the time online, but I'm definitely not a financial advisor. It's a very, very different thing to be a financial advisor. So how does someone really identify that, okay, this person is actually legally and is actually knowledgeable in the space enough to give me financial advice, and how do they go about actually deciding whether or not that person is the right fit for them?
That is such an important topic, because there are so many sharks out there. So you need to see your financial advisor's permit. That's the first thing. I always share my permit with my clients, so that shows on there that I'm allowed to give advice and what I'm allowed to give advice on. I am registered with the FSCA, that's the Financial Sector Conducting Authority in South Africa. Super important, because that's the regulatory body that says Adele is fit and proper and compliant to give advice to clients. So please make sure you see your financial planner's permit. Qualifications is the next thing we can touch on. So I've got the necessary qualifications in the financial planning field. I've got an advanced diploma in the financial planning space, in the investments, actually from the University of the Free State. And also you can differentiate further by those that have written the board exam already. They will be a certified financial planner. So they'll have the designation after their name, which is called then a CFP. So that's the highest level, the best level to work with someone in that stature. But definitely the permit, you can go, if the advisor is tied to a certain company, you will be able to find them on the company's website and profile. Also make sure that the company you're working with is legit, is also registered. I think that's so important. We trust just way too easily, I think, in South Africa. I think that's a big problem, because we talked earlier about trust your gut feel, but also if you're not comfortable I said earlier, if you're not married to the advisor, so move on, change. A good friend of mine recently, she went to the doctor and got an opinion, felt uncomfortable, got a second opinion, and then realized which was supposed to be a big issue, wasn't a big issue. And that's massive. That's like with your life, with a possible operation. So we should take the same seriousness with our finances. I cannot stress it enough. We work so hard for our money. We work hard for our money, and we need to make sure our money works for us. And the person we're partnering with, we trust them. And I think another thing I want to touch on is that you mustn't be only a number, or your advisor mustn't only be a number on your phone or email. There must be a personal relationship, professional relationship, but I mean like a personal relationship as well. I've seen what's worked very well in my favor. My clients and I have a very good relationship. So whether it's based on hobbies or interests or humor, whatever the case might be, as soon as there's common ground, we feel more comfortable, we're more at ease, and we immediately trust the person and the process. Because ideally, you also don't want to chop and change advice all the time. So if you're anything like me, I've got like one doctor, one dentist, one orthodontist, a specialist in every field, but I'm just a very big creature of habit, I think, as well.
No, I completely agree. I feel like that is why I actually have you here, because like you're one of the very few financial advisors that I feel like are really like honest and like really look out for their clients.
Thank you.
In terms of like, if someone is like thinking of seeing a financial advisor, they're not necessarily sure if they're ready to talk to a financial advisor, although we did say at the beginning that you need to see a financial advisor as soon as you can. It's like the best time, like maybe even if it's your first job, if you can afford to do that at that point. What are some of the things that they should do to prepare to see the financial advisor? Because I think it's one thing to have a conversation when you're prepared, and it's another thing to just show up and try to have a conversation. So how do they prepare to make sure that when they pay for that first consultation, it's a productive one, they can really get value and make sure that they get all their questions answered?
So to add to that space, we said when we started working, but I actually want to reiterate there, if your client or the person is 18 years old already, we should be having these conversations. So that's why I always encourage my clients as well with their children, please tell them where money comes from, that it doesn't grow on trees, and the likes. But I think because we can literally change the narrative by having a normalized money conversations. But to get back to your question, I think it's super important when you meet with your financial planner, find out whether they are fee-based. Will they charge you a fee for their hour consultation, or possibly are they going to have a complimentary session with you based on you taking a solution from them, and then they get remunerated via commissions. But the questions you should typically have prepared, let's get your scenario. You just started working, you've got company benefits, take that benefit statement with your appointment, draft a budget beforehand, and write down your financial goals, either whether it's for 1 year goal, or 3 year goal, or 5 year goal, and how you're going to achieve that. And if you're unsure, ask your planner, I'm not sure what a financial goal is, have the conversation and have the confidence to ask the questions, because it's very expensive making a mistake by not asking questions to the advisor. I think we need to really, really focus on that. But yeah, with me, always a first interview is literally just to get to know the client. What do they do? What does their job entail? What existing benefits do they have? What don't they have? And then we can take it from there. Another scenario we can sketch is if the client is a business owner. I see this coming through very solidly. I've got lots of content creators as clients, entrepreneurs. So they don't work for an employer, they don't have benefits. So their structure and what their needs are totally different. And make sure you understand what the advisor is saying. I'm not saying go into detail with the jargon and the fine print, but make sure you've got the basics under the knee. So when the day the hiccup comes or the unforeseen happens and you phone your advisor, that you are covered.
Yeah.
So super, super important. I cannot stress it enough.
Definitely. I love how you brought up the fact that you need to pull out all of those documents, like your benefits document, your budget, and all of that stuff. Maybe even your bank statement, if possible.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think like that, like why I really like that a lot is that it highlights the fact that even if you get a financial advisor, it doesn't mean that you're essentially handing over all your finances to that person and you're hoping that person makes the best decisions for you. You're partners, right? You are both
Correct.
working towards the same thing, which means that you also need to have a really good understanding of what is happening at any given point, and that starts with understanding where you're starting from right now. And that's an important thing to highlight, because I find that some people end up going the wrong direction or getting bad advices because they're not necessarily aware of what's happening like on a month-to-month basis, or understanding what their strategy actually looks like and what it means. And fees are so important. We talk about them all the time when it comes to like investments, but they're so important as well when you're talking about getting financial advice, because as you said, financial advisors get paid in different ways. And obviously there isn't necessarily like a wrong way to get paid, but you want to make sure that whatever you're paying, you are happy with that, you understand the implication it has to your entire portfolio, and you feel like it's a fair exchange, right? So there are fee-based advisors as well as commission-based advisors. So it's just really a matter of what you want. And I think there's also like advisors that take both fee and commission. So these are all questions and things to actually ask your financial advisor. And maybe you would agree with this, Adele, as well, is when you're talking to your advisor about how they get paid, they should be honest about that, right?
Absolutely. Thando, I cannot stress it enough. So I'm tied to a company, so I'm a tied agent. We refer to it that way. So I get remunerated by commission and obviously fees on investments. And I tell my clients I would absolutely love to work for free because I love what I do, but I also have bills to pay and I need to buy bread and milk. And clients immediately respect you for that. And then I'll always tell them, okay, like this is what I can ask or charge. This is what we can negotiate. This is what you're paying me. So even though the company pays me, you indirectly pay me. You just don't pay it into my business bank account, but you do pay me. Because a client also values service more when they know they're paying and what they're paying for. The biggest thing that bothers me about the industry is the fact that so many clients, and I've seen this so many times, are not aware that they can negotiate on fees. I'm also not saying please don't exploit your advisor because, we need to live and let live. But unfortunately, I've seen how advisors exploit clients and tell them, oh, no, this is the fee you have to pay. And then it would be run at 5% or whatever the case might be. And it's so unfortunate for me because the people don't know better. So I think once we know more, we do better. And that's why I encourage the clients and get a second and a third opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's also super important. Don't just go for the first best solution or person you meet. I especially make sure with regard to my clients that retire with me, and I'm always like, we've walked a path together for a couple of years, or based on a referral or whatever the case might be. It's so, so important. And get that second opinion. If you don't feel comfortable, you feel you're paying too much, but I think be reasonable from a client's perspective as well as the advisor perspective.
Okay. Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, as long as you're getting the value that you're paying for it, like, you can pay whatever amount as long as you're happy with that, and what you get at the end of the day. But wow, I think we've spoken about so many things, Adele. But I would like to maybe get maybe a few tips that I didn't necessarily ask questions around that you might have for people out there. My audience is primarily between the ages of 25 and 35. So we're young working professionals. We're trying to pile up as much money as we can as we climb the ladder. So do you have advice for my audience?
Okay. You spoke about bank statements earlier, and I think that is, I always say budgeting is the most important, but your bank statements are the most important thing. Depending on which bank you are with, I think let's start there. Do I have the correct bank account for my needs and goals? Am I paying too much in fees there already? That's the starting point. Then pull 3 months bank statement and a highlight, and then you'll see, oops, a lot of Uber Eats or a lot of entertainment is going through, because we live in a time where it's so convenient to do everything. So we've lost touch of actually working with cash, and it's instant gratification, and we don't realize how quickly we swipe because plastic is fantastic, and online orders. So please work through your statements. And also, over the years you've signed up for things and you forgot about them. You don't even know where the policies are anymore. You don't even chat to the person anymore, or it was over the telephone, you took something. Review that. You can save so much money by just looking at your bank statements. I think ideally look at 3 months. No one wants to do it, but put that money date, have a money date with yourself. I always say that, and look at it. And I know no one wants to do it. There's no fun in it, but make it fun for yourself. Bank statements. Then the next thing is budgeting. Now, I know everyone hates that word because it sounds terrible and daunting, and we don't want to do it. But statistics have also shown that people that do have a budget, so, and I don't care how you do it, whether you've got a book and a pen, notes on your phone, an Excel sheet, the budget app from 2027, they're not sponsoring to say that. I think it's an amazing app. It has shown the difference because people know what's coming in and what's going out. And you're just on top of your finances. And it can be daunting if we sketch a scenario where a client possibly has debt and they don't want to look at it. But the only way to get out of that debt or get rid of that debt is to know where's all my debt, how much do I owe, what are the interest rates. Tanya, you've left it too wide. I've got so much to say now. Another thing I mentioned earlier about life cover and income protection. I just want to reiterate again on income protection. I think that's ultimately my goal, I think, for 2022 is to chat to every single individual about income protection. If you don't have it let's start with what does it mean. So income protection is a monthly payment that you receive to replace your income. So if you cannot work, that will get paid in the event of you being having an illness or sick. And obviously there's stipulations to it, whether it's a 7-day waiting period or 14-day or 1 month. I won't get too technical, but it's in essence to replace your income for medical expenses, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, it's a non-negotiable for me. Income protection. I just want to add furthermore that, and we can discuss the life cover and dread disease, but also a will. I see so often clients tell me, oh, no, I just started working, I don't have assets or anything. It doesn't matter. Every single one needs a will, because we need to know in the event of you passing away, where does your things go to? And also, possibly you don't want people to inherit things that you didn't even like. And that's the one thing I always say. If you've got kids or financial dependents that are dependent on you, even more important. And if you've got an existing will, have you reviewed it? Or have you reviewed it the last 10 years ago? We so often live in a time where we are always in an always on mentality, always on our phones, emails, mails, whatever going on, and we put ourselves last. And the last couple of years we've had a big focus on various things, mental health, but I want to place and put our financial affairs also part of that. Because if our financial affairs are not in place, that also triggers and makes us anxious and ties in with mental health or whatever the case might be, and our general wellness and well-being. Sorry, it's a lot of tips, and I also think one. I talk a lot.
It's like so jam-packed. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. And to end it off with, I think, but your audience will definitely know the difference is just the difference between saving and investing, because I think we get so confused in the jargon that we know investing is when, I always say it's when we want to make money babies. Longer term, compound interest is our friend. And just start, whether it's with 5 Rand or 50 Rand, I think just start. I'm such a big Warren Buffett fan. One of my favorite quotes from him is the best time. That quote goes, the best time was yesterday, the second best time is today, to make the changes in our financial affairs. I think just start, because the more we know, the better we do. And to end off with, what I apply to myself is always go to bed at night with more knowledge than what we woke up with in the morning. So whether it's in your line of work, whether it's in your finances, and it's so easy in today's time.
I 100% agree, Adele. I feel like I'm so happy I actually asked that very wide open question because you packed in so much valuable information, and I think a lot of people will take away a lot of value from that. I'm so happy I actually had you on this platform, and please thank you so much for being so patient, guys. Like I said, we recorded this twice, not once but twice. So Adele has been very patient with this recording. I'm so excited to share it with everyone. And thank you so much, Adele. Where can people find you, by the way? Because you are very active online, and I think you're worth following.
Thank you so much, Thando. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for this opportunity, especially having an advisor on your platform. It means the world to me that you're asking me and choosing me. Please get in touch with me. I'm on Instagram, Adele.Barnard. Or even if you just type in my name, it's very easy to remember my name, Adele, like the singer. I get that a lot. Barnard is also quite in South African context, Dr. Chris Barnard, or Barnard, like we say in Afrikaans. And on Twitter, I'm also Adele.Barnard. Or even if you just literally, a client said I shouldn't do this, but just type in Adele Barnard in Google, and if you see this face, you click on that. Someone told me once I shouldn't say that, but I'm legit, so it's okay. Or on LinkedIn, get in touch, and don't be shy to send me a DM so we can get the conversation going. I think that's also often a massive problem, is irrelevant of our financial situation or position, we're just too scared to start having the conversation. So reach out. Please do.
Thank you once again, Adele. This was such an amazing conversation, and I think for me, I learned a lot from you, and I feel like everyone that will watch this will also learn a lot. And again, guys, thank you so much for always watching this channel, supporting this channel. I hope that you guys got a lot of value from this. I will be having more guests over, more experts in the space. I think I've had like a couple. I've actually had Andre for tax, because that's like my go-to tax guy now. But I will have more experts here that are actually professionals within the different spaces in our finances to help us understand these things a little bit deeper, because we can only go so far if we're not professionals and have to actually spend day and night essentially thinking about these things. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Adele, for joining us. Please do subscribe. I will leave Adele's handles in the description below, so if you want to check her out, and leave a comment down below, guys. Who should we interview next? What professional do you want? Should we maybe talk to an insurance person? Who knows, like maybe someone who can tell us about wills, a law professional. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Bye.
Thanks.